YouTube, welcome back to another Romz video, and today we're going to do the reaction video, the reacted to, man. As you guys can see in the title, we're going to react to Blackyspeakz, The YN Mindset is Ruining Society. And this is a big one, guys. This is actually a big one that, I do want to react to. And this came up on my feed, and you know what? It's something that we need to talk about, what's going on with the world and stuff like that in the day. And if you don't know what the YN stands for, it stands for young nigger or young ninja, but most people say young nigger. And basically it's equivalent to the UK in terms of like roadmen, basically. So USA, they have like YNs, they call them YNs, and the UK is just called roadmen, basically. So that's what it is. So before we get to the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff as well. And yeah, let's get straight into the reaction. And I'm also going to put the original link into the description as well, so if you guys want to watch it without my commentary, you can do. And also as well, any other videos you want me to react to, just DM me personally or drop in the comments down below. But anyway, let's get reacting.
Now, if you're on certain spaces of TikTok and social media, I'm sure a lot of people have heard the term YN, not to be confused with young ninja. YN stands for young nigger, which is a slang popularized by rap culture. The term is supposed to represent young black men, mostly teens, and is heavily associated with the image of a black face, often in connection with erratic behavior, which 99% of the time involves hurting people, whether that be stealing, robbing, or just being belligerent. However, this term is not defined by skin color. It's more a mindset that the new generation of young people are taking on. We're talking about children as young as 10 being influenced by the behaviors that come.
10 years old is crazy. 10 years old. Do you realize these men were born in 2015? You know what? I used to thought, we're not old. But when I realized, you speaking to some people like your younger cousins and stuff like that, they're born like 2015. I was born in 2016, 17. I'm like, bro, I feel like an absolute But 10 years old is absolutely ridiculous. That is absolutely mad. And they're getting indoctrinated with all these bad habits and stuff like that. Like, that's actually crazy. Oh my days. That's
with
mad.
This term, and they're mainly being influenced by it through different forms of media, social media being the main one, but we also have music, specifically rappers, promoting this way of showing up in the world. A lot of the violent behavior from young people being publicized on social media right now can be connected to this mindset as well. And in this video, I want to talk about why the YN mindset is slowly ruining society. Rapper King Von, who died back in 2020, might be the poster boy for this conversation, because Von was not only the physical representation of what the YN term is associated with, which is a black face, but King Von was also big on being a menace to society. That's what Von not only spoke about in his music, but he took pride in being the way he was. And then he got himself into an altercation in November 2020 and got himself killed. Now, Von is just one example out of many, but he was a famous rapper, so he managed to at the very least reap the rewards from operating this way. Through the means of making a bunch of money from his music, he gained a lot of notoriety, fame, and recognition during his short-lived career. And although Von isn't here anymore, his music continues to influence kids all over the world.
Yeah, with King Von as well, like a lot of people they idolize this guy, bro. Like, it's actually crazy how people idolize like rappers and stuff like that. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you actually idolize rappers and stuff like that, you just look at yourself. I'll be honest, you absolutely do need to look at yourself. Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Like, it's just the thing that you don't need to actually think about and stuff like that. Like, it's just something that is common sense in the day. Like, cool, yeah, you can listen to them. I don't have a problem. Like, I listen to like rappers and shit like that. I'm not gonna lie, I listen to rappers, I listen to like people who like promote this shit by the end of the day. And obviously the music is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the music's good, but I don't idolize that shit. Like, there's levels to it. Like, you can still listen to it, but you don't have to like take it in and actually, implement it to your lifestyle and stuff like that. And then people just take it too far. Like idolizing these people, at the end of the day, they don't know who you are, and you're idolizing someone that doesn't even know you. Like, you're idolizing someone that doesn't know you. And obviously, I mean, when you're a kid, I guess that you're a little more than likely that shit's gonna happen. You know what I mean? You're more likely to be receptive to idolizing people. Like, everyone had an idol when they were growing up, shit like that. But then, if you're getting to a big age and you're still idolizing people like that, and especially as well, like some people that are just not really gonna benefit you, then you gotta look at yourself. I'm like, bro, you're a grown ass man, you're idolizing people that don't benefit you in life. Mad.
In a negative way.
You say you want to come ride with us?
Yeah.
What you gonna do though, like, if you get caught?
I ain't snitched. I went to juvie. I actually went to juvie because I teacher was sister. And you can actually.
What? What do you say?
I went to juvie. I actually went to juvie because I teacher was sister.
Stabbed the teacher with scissors.
I chased my teacher with scissors.
Yeah.
Chasing is crazy. Yo, imagine you're the teacher, yeah, and you're getting chased by a 10-year or 11-year-old. He looks like a 10, 11, 12 years old, 12-year-old person with scissors. Yo, I can't. The all loss in that is crazy, but that's the best thing I'm thinking of. But jokes aside, that is actually crazy. Like, you have to blame. Like, listen, you can't really blame him too much, man. You have to blame the environment he's open.
Scissors and I stabbed her and they said, "Oh, you're going to juvie for 3 months."
Hey, Keisha, you gotta chill though, but that's not cool.
Huh?
It's not cool to be bad.
It is cool. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm just trying to be like my idol,
Who your idol?
King Von.
Cooked. Absolutely cooked.
What the?
Now that clip that I just played you, I thought was some kind of like skit when I, first came across it, but it's actually real. Here we have a young black boy around the age of 10 or 12 being asked about riding around with grown men on a robbery spree. He's bragging about having been to juvie, how he heard his teacher, and that King Von influenced him to be this way. And by the way, the title of this YouTube short, which is over 5 million views, is Crazy YN Chased His Teachers with Scissors. Now the question I had when I seen this video was, why is this adult male in the car making these suggestions to this kid? That's a whole nother issue, right? But this is something we don't talk about often enough. It's not just thousands. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of young people, might be in the millions at this point, adopting a similar way of thinking, being, and moving.
Yeah.
And sadly, most of them are young black teens. But then again, like we stated, it's not a race thing, but more of a cultural thing. We're gonna dive into that later. And for the more mature crowd watching this video, right, who may not be on social media or even have, let's say, young nephews, nieces, or children growing up in this, new age of social media, a lot of you guys might actually be confused and completely in the dark about this YN mindset that I'm talking about. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing about this. If that's the case and you enjoy this conversation so far, drop a like on this video, right? For others, especially all the younger people who watch this channel, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
How greedy, bro! Took the whole big cake of cookies.
Others, especially all the younger people who watch this channel, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And then we have, people like myself kind of in the middle where I'm connected to it in a lot of ways and I see what's happening, but obviously I'm old enough to have enough sense to know how dysfunctional it is for society in general. First, we got to get clear about one thing, which is the YN term is a term that propagates a negative stereotype of black boys. For most people who know about this term and what it means, when they think about it, what probably pops up in their mind visually is a young black teen.
Did you not just look at these people and then you just think, how do you find this shit cool, bro? Bro's just there, thinking he runs the fucking block, bro. This shit is not cool, man. And there might be kids watching this thinking, yeah, I want to be like that. You're not cool. You just look like you're dumb. You just look like, you don't look like intimidating or anything like that. You're trying to be intimidating, but you just don't look like that. And that's why it's the thing that you do notice as well, especially with these type of people, you never see them just by themselves. It's always a group. It's always a group. This is the thing I look at people, I see people, the baddest guy, and and they're in the group and shit like that. I guarantee you, if they're by themselves, to be completely two different people. You wouldn't even recognize it. It's night and day, you know what I'm saying? It's actually mad.
With a ski mask, maybe a company with a Glock 45, robbing people and being a menace. And that's something I personally think is a problem, right? It shouldn't be like that, but obviously it is, and there's some reasons behind it, and we're gonna get into that later on. Now, the term to me isn't actually the issue, as crazy as it sounds, because if it stopped at just being words, there wouldn't be anything to talk about. The biggest problem is the mindset behind it and the energy it carries. For anyone who's heard the term YN, you've also probably heard crash out. Crash out is more of a mainstream way of describing when someone completely loses control, acts off emotion, ego, or pain with no thought for the consequences that may follow. I think Duke Dennis, who's a popular streamer, he explained it perfectly.
Crashing out is making a decision in a split second that could throw your whole life away. That's what crashing out is. Crashing out is, I'm ready to die about, I'm ready to go to jail about right now. Whole time the situation is not even worth going to jail about or dying about.
And shout out to Duke Dennis for the very proper explanation. In other words, you lose all logic and reasoning and let your emotions guide you towards an action.
Yeah, and this is the problem. A lot of people do that shit. A lot of people, I think as well, the term crash out and stuff like that. When you actually do crash out, it's not, doesn't make you cool. It's a very, very dumb thing to do when you crash out, because I think especially as well, if you're really emotional and you have some sort of weapon, it is dangerous. It is absolutely dangerous, because you're not going to think about what's going to happen after. You're just thinking in the moment that, I need to kill this nigga, I need to kill this guy, I need to do this, and you just your mind's all over the place and shit like that, and then you're bro, whoa, what's going on here? And then you're going to regret it after that, because then as soon as the flipping judge will be yep, you're sentenced to 50 years in prison without the chance of parole, you're going to be looking at your dumb self and be thinking, oh, what have I done? You know what I mean? And then people can say, yeah, free him, free him, free him, blah, 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 bro. it's funny how they say freedom, but you're literally the one that called. It's not even like the innocent or anything like that. Like, you just know they're the culprits and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the problem. Like crashing out can lead to, yeah, as I said, throwing your life away. It might not be passed away, but it could be, as I said, your life in jail. Mad.
Completely messes up your whole life when it could have been avoided. And these two terms, YN and crashing out, they're very connected. One of them, crash out, describes a general way of behaving without taking the person into account. So crash out can be about just about anybody, right? It can be about someone who's 15 years old, or it can be about someone who's 85 years old. YN is, however, catered towards the younger generation. And like we stated, it's often associated with young black teens. Now the question is, what is considered YN behavior? Well, let's put it like this, right? Anything that's reckless, belligerent, and violent. So let me give a few examples, right? Smash and grabs are a prime example of this. Back in 2020, specifically around the time of the 2020 riots, we saw a spike in a very specific type of crime, and it was called...
Yeah, you know the 2020 riots, man. Yeah, like LA was on a mad shit, like, and obviously there was even recently as well. I think about 2 or 3 months ago, there's like riots going on as well, due to ICE and stuff like that as well. Like literally every single time, man. And I remember those riots that were happening in 2020, man, and it was not pretty, man. I remember like that's when George Floyd happened, BLM was happening, and I think as well LGBTQ was on the rise and shit like that. There's like a multitude of reasons happening at once, and obviously pandemic, everyone was frustrated anyway, so everyone was just looting. Everyone was like, LA was just like on a mad shit. I don't think it was just LA. I think it was like loads of countries in the state, no, not countries, loads of states in the USA. You know what I mean? So like, it's actually ridiculous. Like, looking back at it, and that was only 5 years ago. This is what I've talked about as well. Like, you're telling me these events are not going to happen again. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to happen. Like in 2 years' time, there might be another riots happening. I can see some shit happening. You never know. Even tomorrow, there might be a riot happening. I don't know. The riots are going to be everywhere and stuff like that. So you just got to be prepared for it at the end of the day. Like, but 2020 was mad. It was mad, burning stuff. You know, or police, like, bro, throwing shit, like, it's mad.
For anyone who doesn't know, is a term that describes a type of crime where a bunch of people run into a store, most times being a designer clothing store or a place where they have expensive jewelry, computers.
The thing is as well, like, it's funny how people like the people that you all steal, like, for me, if I was in the situation where just people steal, I'll be like, listen, and it's like 5 guys and I'm just the only guy, I'll be pissed, but I'll be like, listen, karma. I believe in karma, guys. I believe if you're doing bad stuff, bad shit is going to happen to you. So I just let that shit happen, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no way you can get through life doing all like stealing and stuff like that and be rich and be sustainable. Like, that's just impossible. There might be 1 guy or 2 people that do it, but it's just the staggering majority don't do that. So like, these people will either burn in hell, or like these people will kind of like realize that, yo, like they get basically the consequences get put on them, and they get caught, and that leads to them obviously getting in jail or stuff like that. Then they're okay, you know what I mean?
Etc. They break the windows, you know, they run inside, take a bunch of shit, and you know, they just dip, right? A lot of this was happening in the major cities in the US, like New York, Los Angeles, etc. I think a lot that was happening can be connected to the things that were going on politically during that time, yes, but I think the pandemic and COVID-19 was a turning point for sure. I don't know about you, but I noticed how humans became way more, you know, disconnected from each other after 2020 overall, and the way we interacted with each other as humans, right? But also what people were willing to do to others as far as hurting their fellow human being. So with that shift, I noticed, and maybe you noticed this as well, I noticed how a lot of crimes were becoming way more vicious. You started hearing more and more about old people getting beat up and robbed. Gang violence became way more intense.
But the thing is as well, like the people that rob old people, I just think that you're the same people say you're tough guy and stuff like that, but you're robbing vulnerable people. You would not do that if it was an actual man, like a 25-year-old man that's in shape or that's built or something like that. You never do that. So how do you call yourself a tough guy and stuff like that, but then you're robbing old people that are vulnerable? Like, you can't, like that's like me saying, oh yeah, you know what, I'm so good at fighting, but then all I do is beat women up. Do you see the context? Like, the fuck, like, I'm beating women up, bro. Like, I'm not beating my own guys up, I'm beating women up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a dumb thing to say, you know what I mean? So it's the same here. Like, a lot of people just like thinking they're the tough guy, but you're robbing vulnerable people. for no reason at all. It's just sickening, man. It is
communities all over the world, and kids started getting caught in the middle of it more often. People started having less and less concern for each other, and individualism, I would say, is at an all-time high right now, especially after 2020. But around 2020, this thing called smash and grabs became a common occurrence. Some of y'all might have seen a lot of those videos of a bunch of teens running inside a store, let's say a clothing or electronic store, stealing a bunch of clothes, laptops, and iPhones. And sometimes they arrive in, big ass groups, right? All ski masked up, looking like Pooh Shiesty.
Sunday, a group of thieves stole from the Nike store in East LA. We are blurring their faces here because they appear to be juveniles. And last week, a flash mob robbery occurred at the Americana at Brand, one of developer Rick Caruso's properties. He says despite their sophisticated security systems and armed guards, it still happened.
And sometimes they arrive by themselves, like this man at this Apple store, and they, clean out the whole spot.
Remember this clip? I saw this clip as well when this was recent and stuff like that back then. It's so funny. Do you know people not think? Do people not think you do realize these phones have trackers on it? And I saw the comments and they were saying the exact same thing, and that's absolutely true. You do realize you're setting yourself up to failure. Like, do you really think Apple will lose that much value over some guys or some people stealing a few phones, stuff like that? They're minted, Apple, anyway. They're absolutely minted. They have GPS systems in there, so you're going to get caught. Like, just thinking of some people, like, and especially this with this YN right here, man. Like, I just don't get the thinking. Like, yeah, you think you're stealing and shit like that, but you do realize karma's gonna hit back on you. Like, it's instant gratification. I think that's what a lot of people want. It's instant gratification, and then it's just thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm stealing these phones. I'm definitely gonna sell them, but they have GPS systems, and you can't even log into them anyway. You can't even log into them anyway. So I don't know what's going on.
Not only did he clean out the whole spot of all their iPhones, put all the phones in his boxers, but he did all that and literally walked past a police car. If that ain't talent, bravery, and confidence in one, I don't know what is. But all jokes aside, right? This is what people associate a YN with. And although the image that pops up in people's heads is a black male or teen rocking a Pooh Shiesty ski mask, let's focus on the behavior itself, because that's what we're talking about. The YN mindset is a way of behaving, operating, and seeing the world. You don't think the consequences of your actions will catch up to you. Like this clip of this white kid talking a bunch of trash to a police officer and getting manhandled.
Get off your seat.
Okay, take off your seat.
Yeah.
Let me get your ID.
You ain't gonna get shit.
Okay.
Take it off your seat. Well, what you laughing for? I'm writing your shit. Take it up.
And we're gonna cut it right there because YouTube is very strict these days, okay? Let's just say that the end result was the young man begging for mercy on the ground, okay? Now, rap music has been a huge proponent of pushing the normalization of the YN mindset. And this is something I've spoken about on here for years in different contexts. We've seen countless young rappers crashing out for absolutely no reason, whether it's home invasions turned deadly in the TK case.
Oh, TK, man. Fuck me. TK. Yeah, man. His music, I can't lie, bro. His music back in the day was so gold. And then he does that shit, man. He must be convicted of murder of shooting photographer while fleeing us from a separate murder. He's lost it, man.
Or killing one of the most famous drill rappers at the time, Pop Smoke, when you're only 15 years old. That's a concoction of crash out and YN behavior. And you often see memes about this kind of thing, but I've yet to see an actual real conversation about what's created this phenomenon and why it needs to be abolished. We're talking about young people in large amounts, acting reckless, belligerent, hurting people in the process without any regard for how it's going to affect their lives and others. And it's also not that the older generation, let's say the 80s babies, weren't on demon time during the crack era, okay? Because they obviously were. Just ask your parents. It's just that we keep on seeing more recklessness and more innocent people getting caught in the middle of it. And a lot of this is being televised to an entire generation of young children through social media. And the number one, commonality that I've observed in this type of behavior is structure or lack thereof. Often when you see this type of behavior in society, either in your own backyard or in close proximity to you or the people you love, you'll notice how a lot of these young boys, right? Specifically young boys, because young girls aren't out here like putting on ski masks and like robbing stores, right? Most times they're not. In 99% of the cases, they're not, right? You'll notice how a lot of these young boys come from fatherless households, and 9 times out of 10.
That's what I'm saying. I'll literally talk about this. I think that's why deep level thinking is really important, because surface level thinking is just going to think, yeah, blame the person that's stealing, blame the Obviously, you can blame them, but you have to look at the overall picture. They just don't have fatherless. 9 times out of 10, or what he said is that they have fatherless homes, and maybe not even a male figure to actually guide them through the process. So if you're not going to have any guidance, you're just going to think, yeah, I'm going to go steal this. That's cool. You're going to more likely be indoctrinated into bad stuff. That's just how it is at the end of the day. So as I said, I just know that most people that steal, I just know they're just not being brought up in good backgrounds. I know most of them are not being brought up in good backgrounds. So you have to look at the real problem, and it's just that they've, I don't know what the actual context is, but maybe, the dad left them, or maybe they just have a brother, or maybe the mum wasn't doing right. I don't know. It could be a multitude of reasons, but the whole point, you have to look at them is that they've been brought up in the wrong environment. They've been brought up in the wrong environment, and once they've been brought up in the wrong environment, they could be either two things. Some people can recover from it, so it's not an excuse for them just to be stealing or anything like that, because people do recover from it, and they haven't been brought up in a 2-parent household. They've been brought up in a single mum household, no male figure, but they still get by. So it's possible you can do that, but at the end of the day, it's majority of the times people are not going to be like that. Majority of the times people are more likely going to be, as I said, being indoctrinated into doing bad shit. So that's what it is, man. You have to look at the environment of what they've been brought up in.
They were most likely raised by a single mother. A lot of times we also see another thing, which is they either come from an impoverished background. If not that, at the very least, we're talking about a working class background. And here's the thing, what happens when a father is absent in a lot of cases? Well, according to the studies, this has been very well documented. They say the following: research shows when a child grows up in a father absent home, he or she is 4 times more likely to live in poverty, more likely to suffer emotional and behavioral problems. Children of single mothers show higher levels of aggressive behavior than children born to married mothers. And number 4 is very major because it kind of goes hand in hand with this topic, and that is more likely to go to prison. 1 in 5 prison inmates had a father in prison. And then at number 5, which is very, very, very important for this topic, more likely to commit crime. Study of juvenile offenders indicate that family structure significantly predicts delinquency. Number 8, we have more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. And then at number 10, we have 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. Now, obviously, not every single teen who comes from this type of background ends up committing brazen crimes.
But some people do drop out from high school. So in high school, for the UK audience, is secondary school for us. So they graduate. So what we do is that we have secondary. So we go from year 7 to year 11. So we finish at 16 for secondary, but they finish at 18 because I think for the 2 years that we have, they can do A levels or college. They just do it all in one. So then they basically finish at 18, and then they go off to uni or college, or whatever they call it, anything like that, into the US point of view. So not even finishing secondary basically is mad. It's absolutely mad. So that kind of just proves the point that, they don't even have that much education. Like, they even if, at least if they've had school, like, at least they might have some guidance from maybe teachers or head teachers, or maybe they even might hire someone that can guide them a little bit. There's people that can actually guide them and stuff to life and stuff like that, especially if they had a broken household. But the fact that even dropping out of school is just another way of just making sure you don't have much guidance and stuff. So
acts belligerent or shows a lack of self-control in spaces occupied by others, right? And the question is, why is that? Well, there's a couple angles to this. First of all, a big one that's not emphasized is personality. You can come from the worst conditions and have every single obstacle against you known to mankind. If you're not naturally inclined to be this type of person, you're not gonna put on a mask and start robbing old folks, right? And on the other hand, you can come from a household of love, 2 loving parents. Your name could be Clarence, and if you find the idea of being a menace to society appealing, then
yeah, that's true as well. There's still some people that are evil and people that rob you, and they brought up in a really good environment, and that's the one that actually look at them and I look at more fault for them, because there's no excuse for you. There's no excuse for you. You've been brought up in a really good environment. You brought up in a 2-parent household. You probably had a decent amount of money. You probably had at least people telling you shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing this. So basically setting the boundaries, and you still cross those boundaries and still do it. And now look at the actual person itself, no matter the age. Obviously, maybe if they're a bit really, really young, like, maybe 10 or 11, but I say past maybe 13, 14, 15 years, you're starting to think about yourself at this point. Like, you're not a baby or anything like that. And I know it's still teenager years, but let's be honest, man, like, most people have a developed mind to basically have independency by at least 16 at least. So there's no excuse, especially if you have a good background, in order for you to be doing this type of shit and stuff like that. It's not an excuse for the people that don't have a bad background, bad background, and you know, so you can, at least with them they have a little bit of a leeway and stuff. But with the good background, you know what? I can't even speak, man. Background. Then you know what? You can go from there. So yeah.
That's the path you're going to go down. And then we of course have a mix of this along with environmental influences, which we'll touch on later. Aside from that, another aspect of this is back in the day, there used to be this thing called a rite of passage, something you did that marks the transitional phase of your life into adulthood. And this rite of passage added a layer of accountability to them as people, and it set a precedent that said you're now responsible for your own life, so act accordingly. Nowadays, we don't have any of that. Culturally, things are less structured. I mean, this young new generation doesn't really even know how to follow authority. Just take a look at what's...
Well, this reminds me of school, man. It really made the teacher leave. Yo, school, bro. You know what? School is a simulation, man. School is actually a simulation, man. When you get the teacher pissed off, it was just so funny, man.
happening with teachers and their students now.
Disrespect from students. In the 3 years that I've been teaching, I've been cussed at countless times. I've been called fat. I've been called a B word.
A lot of the young people from this generation think that following basic instructions like sit down or put your phone down is a sign of disrespect. A lot of the youth who adopt this Hawaiian mindset actually come from loving households. They didn't have to worry about missing meals or going to sleep without a blanket, only, you know, showering with cold water, sleeping on the floor, eating rice and beans, you feel me? A lot of them have been spoiled to the point where consistency in their household or outside suddenly turns into a prison, which is why they're often looking for excitement in the outside world. And that excitement leads them down a road where they start acting out in ways that not only put themselves in danger, but the rest of us that want nothing to do with any of this. And a lot of the young boys who fall into this category, right, of kind of having this Hawaiian mindset, a lot of them just have no identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want in life. They don't know where they're actually going. And it doesn't help that they don't have any real life positive and tangible influences around them as a symbol for what they can become. On top of that, as soon as they head over to Instagram, their algorithm is pushing all this low-life behavior content in front of them, whether it's people acting out in public and fighting, or things like videos of people who look just like them, white, black, purple, not color specific, terrorizing innocent people by being belligerent, ruthless, and a menace to society. And that validates their way of living, and it plans to see that then normalizes this way of living in their mind. When you're spending more time with a screen that's made to program your mind in a negative way than with real people, is it really a surprise that so many of these young kids are turning out this way? I don't really think so. And speaking of the identity thing, because I think this is worth hitting on a little more, I think this is the core of the issue actually. Notice how a lot of the, you know, in this case, the YNs who fall in this category, right? They tend to roll in packs. Now, why is it that people who...
That's what I've said, bro. I'm telling you right now, this is not even just, this is Roman as well. They always hood in packs. That's when you know they're not. That's when you know they're all cowards. I swear down, that's when you know people are scared. Like, there is people that roll individually, and those are the people that actually look a little bit more concerned. But people that roll in packs and groups and stuff like that, like, at the end of the day, you're not the group leader. And second of all, you wouldn't have that you won't just look at as hoods in packs. It's like for me, I look at it as an analogy as drinking alcohol to go to talk to a girl. That's what I look at it as. You're obviously going to have more confidence because you have alcohol in your system, and you're going to even have social anxiety. It's not even in your vocabulary, and you're going to go talk to that girl. But at least when you're actually individual, like you're sober, it's like your anxiety is going through, and you still talk to that girl. Then I'll respect him more, and a little bit. I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna try play. And even though I wouldn't agree like them committing crimes, I'll be like, okay, to be fair, he has the same energy for a group as much as he did individual at the same time. But you see, most people, man, when they're by themselves, they're good people, man. They're a good person. And I'm sure you know someone as well that, you know, at school they used to be a good person, you know, they brought up well, and then they forced the stuff, then they, all of a sudden out of nowhere, they, you know, they start to be, you know, a roadman, or they start to be, you know, disrespectful. They start, you know, you could tell by the looks, you know, they start, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know, but like you get the picture, like they start to like change, you know what I'm saying? But you know that guy was a good you know that guy was a good guy, man. And then now it's just changed. And I think those are the funniest ones when I see people that used to be such good people and vulnerable and stuff like that. And now they're thinking they're hard and stuff like that. Like, Like, you ain't that guy,
this,
bro.
you know, I'm a savage mindset, don't have the confidence to walk in the streets by themselves. You're supposedly this tough guy who likes to prey on a weak, and you'll beat up anybody who tests you, and you love to cause ruckus in the streets, but you don't have enough cojones to go outside by yourself. Let me tell you why that is. It's because a lot of these young men don't have an identity. They find their sense of security in the group because they don't have a sense of themselves. And the only time they can be themselves is when they're around a pack of 13 other YNs who think just like them. That's how they feel safe being them. They don't have any home training. They don't know what it means to conduct themselves in a public setting and be one with their environment. They're loud, they're aggressive, and they're repelling, honestly. So a lot of this stems from not knowing who they are, a lack of identity. And the natural response to that, rebellion, validated by the approval of the group. So their way of belonging is by being posted up with others who they feel have the same mission as them. The only oxymoron is the mission is obviously dysfunctional and it adds no value to society at all. And the thing is, there's a reason why a lot of these young men are so quick to crash out, catching felonies through stealing, robbing, and in some cases even taking a life. We've seen that in hip-hop, right? To them, catching a charge or crashing out, that's not a loss to them because they never feel like they even had a real place in society.
Some people might, and some of them might think it's an actual achievement because then they can have stays. Because you see, I know you see some guys saying that, oh yeah, I went to prison, but they boast about it going to prison like it's a good thing. It's not a good thing, bro. I don't want to be going to prison. I don't want to be going to prison at all, man. Like, I'm good. Like, I ain't the type of guy to be like, I went to prison for 6 years. I was doing this. Now look at me now, like, bro.
Begin with. If you're someone who, let's say you're in this demographic of people who could fall into this, the thing that's kind of gonna sway you from moving, you know, all crazy and crashing out and being a YN, right? It's seeing the other paths that are available for you to walk in. Let's say you have a hobby you're passionate about. Maybe you like to sing, rap, write music, paint, health and fitness. You know, maybe you want to be the next Kai Cenat. Actually, don't try to be the next anybody. Just be you, right? Or you're in trading school, medical school, or you just graduated high school and you have plans to do something with your life. It's the options that are available for you that's going to make you not want to throw your life away by adopting the YN mindset and crashing out. The reality is there's a lot of young people these days who've given up. A lot of these are young men, sadly. And a lot of them, they lock themselves in the basement. They don't participate in life. They get hooked on drugs, alcohol, pornography. They play too much video games, whatever. They hate the world. They hate themselves. They hate women especially, and they're not willing to do anything to change their situation. And yes, there's something to be said about why a lot of those, you know, young men are in those particular situations, but obviously crashing out ain't really gonna solve anything. That's what we're talking about here, right? And then what happens a lot of times in a situation like that is they get involved in the wrong crowd, and then a bunch of people with no identity come together and cause a bunch of chaos that we have to deal with in our communities. So it's on us to clean it up, because when one of these
I didn't even clock. Why this guy just slipped?
that we have to deal with in our communities. So it's on us to clean it up, because when one of these
why did I not notice that? Oh my, I was daydreaming a little bit, to be fair. Fuck me. This guy literally
YN robs an 80-year-old lady and she slips and hits her head and dies. That's unnecessary pain and suffering that people in our communities have to deal with. Energetically and spiritually, there's something that happens to you as a human being when other humans around you are grieving. That energy gets transferred to the rest of the community and it lowers the frequency of the environment around you. I'm talking people walk around more anxious that it could happen to one of their loved ones or them. And I'm talking about, let's say, one of these YNs, you know, doing something that leads to someone in a particular community dying, and then that kind of feeds into the community. That's what I'm talking about, right? People start walking around tense, guarded, doubting that their fellow humans have some kind of agenda when all they're doing is being polite or helpful, and that becomes the new normal. That's how distrust in society among people is created. And not to make this about money, right? But it does cost the government when tragedies happen. And a few examples of that, well, number one, emergency medical care for victims of violence. That is funded by the taxpayers, us. So it by default becomes a public burden. Number two,
but this is the thing as well, which America don't have, and at least for UK, we have free healthcare. And this is the one thing I will give props to the UK about, is free healthcare stuff. And it's just ridiculous how in America you have to pay for like medical bills and stuff like that. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely mad. And you can argue America is probably more dangerous than the UK. So, like, you could argue at least that UK should be getting more medical bills than America, because UK is less dangerous than America. But then you actually twist it, America is probably more dangerous than UK, and they still have to pay. Yo, that is mad.
Police actually has to investigate the crimes, which that's an expense, and something that's kind of connected to this, which is, you know, the average cost, and that's number three. The average cost of housing a juvenile in a detention center in the United States is over $200,000 a year. Did you know that? I didn't really know that. That's news to me,
mad.
right? So when that 17-year-old young boy decides to catch a felony charge by popping somebody, right, or like doing some crazy, that's the price we got to pay for what he did. And also, number 4, okay, let's not forget things like increasing cost of insurance in high crime neighborhoods. And number 5, and also this is a big one, businesses taking their companies elsewhere and leaving the areas where, you know, these, in this case, these YNs are terrorizing, right? And obviously it ain't just YNs, you know, doing all this crazy stuff. That's what we're focusing on in this video, obviously, okay? So you get it. And then something that's connected to number 5, and I'm sure some of y'all have heard about this, right? Which is, haven't y'all heard what's happening to so many, you know, like specifically like black communities in America, whether it's Walmart, Target, or any other major chain that fuels the...
Yeah, I heard Chicago's like one of the most dangerous states in the US. I heard a lot of shit back in Chicago, man. I saw something. I swear there's like a young boy. There was like a young boy concert in Chicago, and all I gotta say is, if any of you guys go to that, man, yo,
economy of said neighborhoods. A lot of them are leaving these black neighborhoods, and they're leaving a lot of these neighborhoods because, you know, a lot of people are stealing, and they're losing so much money to the point where it's not even profitable for them to actually stay in these neighborhoods, right? And it's a shame that, you know, regular folks who aren't a part of all this craziness and all this chaos have to deal with this, and they don't have the funds to move, so they get affected, right? So it's really unfortunate how this is particularly affecting black neighborhoods all over America. A very small minority of our melanated brothers and sisters are, you know, they're just honestly fucking it up for so many people, man. Like, I don't know what other way to put it. And obviously, like, most people aren't on this. Like, it's a very small minority of people like who are doing this, right? And I know it might feel like this conversation is taking a little bit of a turn, but I think all this is connected, and it goes deeper than just a couple YNs. I'll be honest with y'all too, like, I don't know if this is gonna get better. Like, are things actually gonna get
but it was gonna get worse, I think. And then what he's saying in terms of like in America, where they have to pay for all this, like, you know, juvenile share and stuff like that, do you really think the government will do anything about that in terms of the US? They will not do shit. They'll keep doing this. And in fact, they'll probably make it worse, because then the tax will increase. Why do you think taxes are increasing? There's another thing as well that a lot of people don't think about. Why do you think taxes are increasing? The reason they increase is because they're promoting more crime. This propaganda shit they're promoting because they want people to commit crime, because then that leads to them, you know, building more prisons, which is a good thing. But then how are they going to do it? They're going to be taking our tax money. That's the whole point of tax, and that's why they're going to increase it, because they're going to build more of these type of things, and they want more people to be locked up. That's the whole point. They want people to be dumb. That's the realization. They want people to be dumb. So at the end of the day, like, nothing's going to get better anytime soon. I think the only time it'll get better is if humans unite. Everyone unites, and it's never going to happen. I don't think it's ever happened in human history where people have united. There's always divide and conquer everywhere. You know what I mean? So that's the whole point. And I think the only time maybe we do it is if maybe there's a civil war in the UK, or there's like proper like really bad riots. Like, you know, if they don't do something now, then US will be cooked. That's the only way, maybe. But has that happened before in history? I don't know, man. At the end of the day, but I don't think anything's gonna get any better anytime soon. In fact, I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. It's gonna get worse, especially.
Get better, because to me it feels like the younger generation is getting more belligerent as the years go by. It feels like social media has done a number on their mind, and the algorithms are validated. And that's why
I'm kind of glad as well, like, I'm not born too much into the social media era as well. I mean, I'm kind of glad, like, for me, as I said, I was born in 2005, so I was kind of brought up in a little bit more of like no social media, but also with social media as well. So I like a little bit of balance. Probably say a little bit more with the social media, but also kind of known like what it was without having social media and stuff like that. Like, I knew what it was like, you know what I'm saying, knocking on my friend's door, like my neighbor's door, asking if I can come out and stuff like that. I didn't even have text. I didn't have a phone. Like, I couldn't text him any day. Or the only time I could do it is if I use PlayStation, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the only time I could do it. You get the picture, like. So I'm kind of glad that I wasn't born too much of the social media era. But now it's cooked where, especially if we're born in 2020, people born in 2020 and then 2020s, social media is on an upturn right now, and there's no thing where you could do that without social media. So
thinking and operating, and there's so many forms of media that are just feeding into the dysfunction as well. If you ask me, I think what we need more of is strong parents, leadership, guidance, structure, you name it. I think that's the medicine to a lot of the issues we've discussed in this video. However, the sad part is someone can grow up having all these things and more, but end up like this. We've seen it in so many different examples.
But I think the whole point is that it will probably be lesser, you know what I'm saying? But like these type of things will never stop. Like even if you have like a 2-parent household, stuff like that, it will never stop. So at least with that, we can at least mitigate some type of thing to make it worse.
Example is T.I.'s son, King Harris. He's probably the best example of someone who had every advantage in the book, but still ended up trying to appear as a thug, a gangster, you know, someone who's about it. So there's no guarantees that someone ends up the right way. I know so many parents who've actually done their best, but their kids ended up catching felonies, murder charges. I mean, I know so many parents personally who they did actually do their best, but their kids still ended up catching felonies, murder charges, you name it. I guess in the end, all you can do is just do your best as a parent and hope for the best. Overall, it's also a community thing if you ask me. We as people, we have to make sure that our respective communities don't get destroyed by this type of behavior. We all got to make sure that we try to hold each other accountable as much as possible, and we actually protect our communities. That's one of the most important things that I think that we as people, we can do. Anyway, if you made it this far, drop a little like on this video for the algorithm. If you're new here, my name is Blackyspeakz, digital handshake, okay? Very types of conversations, and yes, it's a little bit of a different video specifically on this channel, but I think it's important to talk about this honestly, and this is definitely connected to hip-hop culture and a lot of the things that we've spoken about, right? It's just so hard not to talk about things like this when you see a lot of the stuff that's going on these days. But anyway, you know, me aside, because I've been talking, okay? Any thoughts on this topic? I really want to hear what y'all.
All right, that's it for the reaction video, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that, man. A little bit more of an educational piece on all these YNs that be going around and stuff like that, man. But yeah, it's all mad, man. It's all mad. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know you guys' thoughts as well on this as well. Like I've already said my piece in terms of what it is in terms of the YN society, so I want to get your thoughts on it too. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff as well, as I said, guys. And any other videos you want me to react to, listen, just comment down below or DM me personally in the socials. You guys can see the screen. And yep, that's it for me. Peace.